Hello, my name is Viivi Lähteenoja, and I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Helsinki and Aalto University. I'm also the board chair of MyData Global, an international nonprofit organization for the promotion of MyData. This short video will present some basic ideas about personal data in general and the concept of MyData in particular. The most influential definition of personal data today is from the European General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR. It defines personal data as any information relating to an identified or identifiable natural person. It then goes on to specify that an identifiable natural person is one who can be identified directly or indirectly, in particular by reference to an identifier such as a name, an identification number, location data, an online identifier, or to one or more factors specific to the physical, physiological, genetic, mental, economic, cultural, or social identity of that natural person. This is a rather wide definition, and it's different from others in that it doesn't try to name all the different types of data that it covers, but rather it takes the relationship that data has to a person as a defining feature of what is personal data. For example, research into location data from mobile phones has shown that it takes only 4 data points to correctly identify 95% of us because our mobility patterns are so predictable. And this predictability factor arising from our personal data is one of the things that makes it so valuable. To my knowledge, there is no research on exactly what percentage personal data makes up of the approximately 94 zettabytes of data that's projected to be produced globally this year. But if we take as our definition data that bears a relationship or to a person or their activity, I would wager that percentage is considerable. So we can say that personal data really is everywhere. But what should we do with it? As of 2020, only 10% of the global population has their personal data protected by modern data protection legislation like the GDPR. Yet the abuse of personal data is demonstrably a threat to democracies globally, as we saw with the Cambridge Analytica scandal and what has been shown since. Further, the current model of economic exploitation of personal data benefits only the very few. So again, I ask, what should we do with personal data? One answer to that question of what we can and should do with personal data is MyData. MyData has roots in an Aalto University research group in the early 2010s, and it has since become a global movement recognized by the likes of the European Union, the World Economic Forum, and APEC, the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. The basic idea of MyData is that people should be in control of the personal data about themselves. This is a human-centric approach for digital self-determination, and it's a part of a new wave of digital human rights activism, which is emerging across the globe. It's premised on the idea that we can combine high levels of data protection with high levels of data use. So if we shift from a company or organization-centric paradigm, where personal data about me is Google data or Finnish government data, and if we shift to a human-centric paradigm, where all of that data is Viivi data, we don't have to compromise protection or utility, goes the argument. So the idea is that when I'm in control of who uses this Viivi data and for what purposes, I can not only prevent abuse, but I can also benefit from the permitted use of that data, as can the companies and organizations that I choose to share that data with. Now, success in addressing the current power asymmetry between people and organizations who hold data about those people requires sustained cooperation between businesses and the private sector, legislators and policymakers, technology developers and researchers, as well as social scientists and civil society. So very practically, MyData is also a global center for personal data expertise and a place that brings these groups together to find common solutions. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching.